Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. My name is Sharika Sanders, and I am the CEO of Transform the Gap, where I help women of color in the professional space understand how to align their faith, their family, and their careers by overcoming burnout and elevating to that next level into becoming who they are called to be. And today, I have, we should know it by now, someone that I know that you should know. And you know what? I do this every time. I'm not going to get on the soapbox. I'm going to let Kemerlin start. So thank you so much for being here today, Kemerlin. Please tell us who you are and what you do.
I'm Kemerlin Richards, and I'm a leadership and self-mastery coach. I mainly help women in leadership who have mastered the technical skills transform into inspirational leaders, leaders with influence, leaders with impact. And I like to say I stand in the gap. I'm in the middle of who she is now and the leader that she wants to be. And so my goal is to bridge that gap. Now, within those gaps, right, we have things like the self mastery that needs to be sharpened, and also things where she learns how to step into her authentic power and not just hide behind her skills and her abilities. Because I was once that type of leader, that, I have the education, I have the titles, the job, the corporate, but yet there was a deeper sense of leadership that I knew I could be. And
Hmm.
my journey was a journey of understanding what that cultivation looked like. And my goal for women in leadership is to help them realize that further, or if they have realized that, help them bring that into fruition.
Yes, I love it. So it's not about surface level. It's not about
Yeah.
getting the title. It's about truly becoming who you were called to be and stepping in your purpose because I believe that leadership is servanthood. And so understanding how to do that, because what we oftentimes do not realize is that when we do submit to our call, so to speak, that's how
Mhm.
we elevate. But when we walk in with, this is my title, this is this, and all of these things up here, our heads are so high up, we forget to look down, and that's who supports us, that's who builds us up. And I love that. Of course, I'm biased towards the gap and would transform the gap, but I love how you say that, stepping in the gap, because there is definitely one. And the moment someone realizes that I've arrived is probably when you need help the most, because
Yeah.
we are ever changing, ever evolving, ever growing. So thank you for your service and what you do. And so we've kind of, even if it's not what you were going to say, ventured into it a little bit,
Yeah.
of one of the great things that obviously, that we should know. But for that $1 million question, what is it, one thing or one of another thing, even that that we should know?
It's so funny because I even staying in tune with the conversation and listening to the things that you said, I would always say that what you are feeling, if it's confusion, it's really not confusion. It's more than likely misalignment. Like it's never going to get clear until you are where you are supposed to be. There's no other way about around that. But with that said, the act of clarity often gets confused for most because
Mhm.
they are looking for this moment, this big bright sunshine moment. I got it,
Yep.
right? But they don't understand that clarity works in a dual way.
Hmm.
It's to break up ground so that you can take steps. Often it's not you getting a full answer.
Hmm.
And if
Hmm.
we are not willing to break ground and take steps, we'll never get to the space of the clarity that we absolutely want. And I'll tell a story about how I had to journey back to my own authentic power and an understanding how to lead differently. Because, like the women I service, I was a technical expert. I got results. I
Mm-hmm.
worked as a account liaison for the Department of Education in a tech company. So I resolved all issues for a multi-million dollar account. So I had teams who had teams under them. So where it came to the technical expertise, I was on top of it. And one thing I know, that when you come into a room with solutions, when you come into the room not needing technical hand holding, that's when you get ignored.
Mm-hmm. I love all that. Um,
Yeah, that's when you get ignored. And the thing about it is that because we've been so trained and conditioned to work, improve, we miss that we're getting ignored in the most crucial way until you get passed up for promotion,
yep.
or until you're lacking in the emotional intelligence that matches your technical skill level, or until you have a behavioral issue. We
Mm-hmm.
hear all of those, and we hear things about leadership and this is how we must be, but there are a lot of things that must happen face to face in the mirror, and that's the kind of work that I like to do,
Yeah.
for you to truly, honestly step into impactful leadership, into leadership that makes an influence, where people remember what you are and what you stand for, not just what you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing, one, it's about moving with courage even when you don't have the confidence. It's about showing up for you 100% and not shying to the background because you may not check all of the boxes, or even just you may check them, but there's an insecurity about something. And so you're allowing fear and this so-called less than to keep you from becoming more than. Um, it's so many things that I'm hearing and so many things that I've done
Yeah,
when I was in that space and seeing. And it is sometimes we kind of fall to the background and not necessarily on purpose.
yeah.
We're waiting for like, oh, I did all the things. I
Like you waiting to
met
be
all the
seen.
goals. Right, right. But
You're just
they're
waiting to be seen.
no, right, exactly. While other people are taking advantage of the
Yeah, and
opportunity.
you think that you are. You think that you are. And that's why I said not hiding behind the skills, not to diminish your skills and not to
Yeah.
diminish your education or
Yep.
diminish what
Yep.
you've accomplished, but you must come to the forefront.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And and why do we have, and now the bigger question is, why do we end up having this expectation that if I do this, then this automatically means this?
Yeah.
Why do we walk with these assumptions?
Yeah.
And so
And
learning how to help
mm-hmm.
that leader unpack that helps
Mm-hmm.
them make more empowered decisions for their career. And now you can start making even more honest choices about, hey, what type of leader do I really want to be if I stop all of this?
To me, I'm getting also you help the person, the woman who is I'm a, you know, chief executive blah. I am a leader in this. I am a director of this. That is what you do, not who you are. And so when
Mhm.
you put your skill set and your title into and make that who you are as a person when things don't really line up and you don't get that promotion or things don't pan out or you get laid off or whatever it is, then now you're feeling diminished in your worth because your worth was based on what you did and
Yeah.
it wasn't necessarily who you are. And so um um that's also what I'm getting for what you said. And I like how you specify it's about dealing with the person themselves, which we all know a lot of that is here,
Yeah.
in the mindset. So I love that, and I appreciate the service you provide and who you provide it to, because oftentimes we hear these things and we're like, that's not me. If you feel like it's not you, it probably is you. So you may as well just reach out and have a conversation, and connect with Carolyn, because it, we
And
so
then a lot of
often
times, honestly,
we
not, you know, not to cut you off, but a lot of times, even the that's not me, I mean, that's fine. But then also, I think we are on autopilot so much
Mhm.
that we don't take the time to consider that there may be another way.
Yes.
And unfortunately, because I've seen these stories, they're significant stories, but I've seen these stories so many times where how your work and you help with the burnout. But the fact that they get to burnout is when they start to say, "Oh, something is wrong." Something was wrong a long time before you got to burnout. But what is it that get has us in a conditioning
Mhm.
mode or
Mhm.
keep going mode, that toxic keep going mode that causes us only to recognize that we're in trouble when we're in real trouble.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
recognize it before the trauma, recognize it before the meltdown.
Mhm.
And, it's not to put any blame on anyone because we've all been there, but it's like you said, to stand in the gap and say, "Hey, you don't have to do it this way. You can recognize some things a little bit before that happens."
Yeah. Thank you for that. And you're absolutely right. By the time we say, "Oh, that's, I need help," you've been needed the help.
Yeah.
So let's
Man.
not wait till we get into that space. There's nothing wrong with having that conversation, having that connection, talking to somebody before you need it. Even if you're like, you know what, I truly don't, that's fine. But why not still set yourself up so that you don't need it in the future, and to make sure that you're on the right path and the right trajectory going forward. So thank you again. I appreciate your time. I'll
You.
make
Thank
sure
you.
that you are tagged and connected and all the things so that people can reach out to you if they have any more questions
Thank you so
or
much.
just want to know, if is this for me? Have
Yeah.
that conversation, step up for yourself, invest in yourself, make yourself a priority. And because we often don't. And so thank you again. I
Okay.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
And until next time, we'll see you later.